Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatam Maham Bande Paramananda Madhavam. All right, last time we read from this number 51. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishinaha. Karma bandha vinirmuktah padam gacchantyanayam. The fruit which is born from action, karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva, having left the fruit born from the action, but connected to buddhi, to the intention or to the higher purpose of life, manishinach, the wise man, janma bandha vinirmuktach, becoming free from the bondage to the birth, liberated from the bondage of birth, padam gacchantyanayam, go to the highest status. So we have to leave the fruit born from activity. Fruit actually does not belong to us. It belongs to nature. Nature is manifesting the divine here. Everything what we do here in this world belongs to that. We kind of contribute with our life to that fulfillment. So it is not our fruit, by the way, by the very definition. Makes sense. And then, yada te moha kalilam buddhirvyatitarishyati tadagantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Last time we spoke about this and we dwelt on it. What it means that nothing will be any more attractive for you from the scriptures point of view, because you will live the scriptures. You will live the presence of the divine within your life. Everything what you think, what you feel, what you act upon, how you see the world around you and yourself will be charged with its presence. So what's the point of reading the scriptures if the divine is already fully present within you? Shruti vipratipannate yada sthasyati nishchala samadhava chala buddhih tada yogam avapsyasi. And when your thought, free from any dogma or any knowledge which you may acquire through mental thinking, will stop and become one-pointed, then you will arrive at yoga. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said, Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha, samadhisthasya keshava, sthitadhih kim prabhasheta, kim asita vrajeta kim. And Arjuna asks of the one whose intelligence or whose higher consciousness is steady, what is his speech? How does he speak? Of the one who is constantly in samadhi, in the highest concentration, whose mind is one-pointed and immobile, does not fluctuate, concentrated. Kim prabhasheta, how does he speak? Kim asita, how does he sit? Vrajeta kim, how does he walk? And the answer is quite interesting. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Prajahati yada kaman, if one leaves all the desires, sarvan kaman, opartha, manogatan, those which came into your mind, atmani eva atmana tushtach, happy by oneself, within oneself, sthita prajna stadochyate, then he is called sthita prajna, or steady in wisdom. Only the one who is established within himself or happy within himself by himself, that is the sthita prajna. So he doesn't say to him how he walks, how he sits, how he talks. He doesn't answer to his question. Sri Aurobindo makes fun of it because Arjuna wants to see it objectively there and to recognize, this is behaviorism, like he behaves in this way, that means that he is this. But that is the only thing which we cannot see, because the liberated person, can be very ordinary outside, and his life can be quite ordinary. And nobody would be able to see that he is extraordinary within his perception. Sri Aurobindo says that it is impossible to see with outer eyes that inner fulfillment. One can imitate it. That's another question. One can play it like in a theater, but one cannot see it with outer look.
Vladimir, we are looking, when you said people can play it, you have these serials on Indian television on the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, actors playing, the roles, So.
There are also players in life. There are many gurus who try to imitate the state of, wisdom and calm, and they become calm. You can really imagine yourself being calm, and being, you can convince yourself to behave in that particular manner. By the way, all this consultancy, if you look at this, how they are teaching businessmen how to behave, they teach them how to stand, how to speak, how body language, how you have to fool others that you are somebody else, through your behavior. Just show yourself differently. They will trust you, and then you take advantage of them because you are not that guy anyhow. So you will just pretend to be. So there is the whole psychology developed on this ground, to pretend to be, fake it till you make it. I heard this often. And I'm not sure that it is really applicable to this particular thing, what we are talking here about. You can't make it by faking it. Maybe one day you can even that do. I do not know. Maybe one can do that also. There is a very funny story in Panchatantra about somebody who pretended to be Vishnu. It is a really funny story. Maybe you heard about it. He pretended to be Vishnu because he fell in love with princess. So his friend built for him a flying machine, and he said, you fly in the night to her balcony, to the princess' balcony, and announce yourself as Vishnu. And he was just an ordinary poor guy living in the city. So they put on him some clothes, and with that flying machine he came to the princess and announced himself as Vishnu. No, she fell in love with him, and they were meeting every night, and so he was very happy with development. And then the king found out that his daughter is meeting secretly with Vishnu. That's a big thing, So, and he was also very, very happy with this. But then the war happened, and the army came and kind of surrounded the kingdom. And then father came to his daughter and said, you see, Vishnu is with you, so call for Vishnu's help. He has to come and help us, He is your suitor in a way. So she asked him, so you see, we have the army attacking us and you are on our side. Can you please come and destroy the army of the enemy? So he went to his friend and said, now what shall we do? You see your flying machine, so what shall we do? He said, you have nothing to do but to continue to pretend to be Vishnu. So he went there and he said, okay, let me face the army. And he went to face the army alone. And Vishnu in the sky, in heaven, saw all and said, "What is this pretender? He will be killed here by the army, and they will think that Vishnu was killed." So he entered into him and destroyed all the armies. This is the story from the really good story. So, and then they married happily, and the king was very happy. It's only in India possible, such a story. You can't find it anywhere else. To be unrealistic till the end, and let it become real. So here, yes, we are talking about fake it till you make it. And then, dukheshu anudvigna manach, dukheshu anudvigna manach, sukheshu vigata sprihach, vita raga bhaya krodhach stitadhir muneruchyate. So the description of the Muni whose dhih, whose concentration is steady, is of the one whose krodha and bhaya and raga, whose desire, fear, and anger are gone, vita. He has neither desire, nor anger, nor fear. Who has no spriha. Spriha has no hopes, expectations rather, whose expectations are gone. In good or bad, whose mind is not tormented in good, whose expectations are gone in happiness. So in whatever state he is, he has no expectations, neither expectations nor shrinking. This is a typical description of the realized person. And then, yaksarvatrana bhisnehach, tat prapya shubha shubham, nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. The one who everywhere, sarvatra, anabhisnehach, who in all things is without affection. I would say not affection, without... the word affection is a good word, without preference for affection. Though visited by this good or this... Wait a minute. I can't see. I want to see your faces and at the same time the text. I can't do both, so I have to shift it. Okay, he whose mind is undisturbed in the midst of sorrow and amid pleasures is free from desires, from whom liking and fear and wrath have passed away, is the sage of settled understanding. That's what we read. And then the next, Yaksarvatra anabhisnehach, who in all things is without affection, though visited by this good and that evil, tat prapya, having gotten this or that, shubha shubham, evil or good, and neither hates nor rejoices, nabhinandati nadveshti, his intelligence sits firmly founded in wisdom. Tasya prajna pratishtita, his wisdom is firmly established.
Vladimir, would that fit Shrimando's concept of equality?
Absolutely.
Equality of consciousness.
Absolutely. This is all about equality and equanimity. It's to be equal among enemies and among friends. This is something we can find somewhere in literature. For example, Jesus was like this. He was not preferring somebody to somebody else. Right. He was accepting everyone. He can go into everybody's house who is welcoming him. There was no kind of preference for him. I think that in the same way Sri Aurobindo and Mother had attitude towards all of us. And that is something what is touching us, yes? We were not judged by them from the point of view of the mind. Even if we are not worthy of their presence, they received us as souls who need help.
Can I give a short example?
Yes, please.
There was a period youngsters used to write a daily diary to the mother, but what we did wrong, what we did during the day. Only thing she did was correct our spelling if you had made a mistake in spelling, and her blessings. That was it. Not, oh, you shouldn't have done this, or don't do this again. None of those. Just correct the spelling and her blessings.
Very interesting. Yeah, because for her it was important to be that you become part, that you make her a part of your life.
Right.
And that was enough already, because then next time you will do better automatically, without really even thinking, without being judged. You would know that you would write to the mother and she will not judge you. And by the way, somewhere she also says about this that the many people come to me and they offer only the best what they have. But the real sadhaks, the real people who are meant to do this yoga are those who come and offer their difficulties, their darker sides they offer for transformation. We usually don't want to bring darker sides to the mother. Yes, we want to come in celebration with her presence. We don't want to show ourselves as being incapable or
as we were talking earlier, we try to fake it.
Yeah, right. Or fake it, or hide it, or something.
Right.
But the real sadhaks are those who offer exactly those difficulties, because then they can be transformed and changed.
So the necessity is to develop closeness to the divine and a true intimacy with the divine. And as Lakshman was saying, if the mother had corrected or criticized it or judged in any way, and as you observed, Vladimir, of course, that then there would be no opportunity to develop that intimacy. I mean, we can all remember like our parents and being corrected as children. Then you don't want to divulge what you did wrong the next time.
Yeah, you hide it. Yeah.
You hide it, exactly. So in developing this openness and trust, then the intimacy is there, which, as you said, helps the divine to become a full part of your life.
Right. It's more for the disciples necessary than for the mother. Much more for them. Yes, when they communicate to her, they connect to her, and that is already a big step forward. Yeah, to trust her in every doings, to see her help, to see how things change when you do it. Yeah. And there's somewhere also she speaks about this, how beautiful it would be if we could be inspired by offering everything what we have, think, feel to the divine. Oh, this thing I never offered, or I never offered drinking of tea, or I never offered by sitting in this chair, or I never offered this particular minutest shift of thought or feeling. Yeah. I never offered it. I never felt the divine present within me while I'm doing this ordinary action. So if we start doing it, our life becomes very different. It will become charged with the presence.
That reminds me of the story of Udar, where mother told him to brush his teeth with her, to offer everything. And even as you observed, these very simple, ordinary things of daily life.
Yeah, this is an amazing thing if we have that contact. Once we have that contact and we could really produce that connection in every simple activity, we don't need anything to study. This is it. This is the end of the. This is the means, as Sri Aurobindo says. Mother is everything is in her. If you reach her, you reach to everything. You realize all. So if she could be present, I mean, the Shakti, consciousness, force, present in every activity, in every feeling, mind, thought, turn of events, fresh look or old look, whatever, it will be charged with her presence. Or with his presence, Krishna's consciousness, what Krishna says, give everything to me, think only about me, love only me in everything. I will deliver you from all the troubles, from all the dualities. Because this is the delivery, actually. That is the freedom. But of course, we have other motives within us, desires, all kind of cherished guests and live within us who are demanding a share from our life for themselves. We don't even know what they are doing there, but we are used to them. We think that we are them, but we are not. We are hijacked by other forces which are kind of using
Vladimir,
us for their own purpose.
Vladimir,
Yes,
if we offer even our desires to her, like we talked about, that we offer everything to her, good or bad, what that is, if we offer the desire, she is there for us, and she will, if we have that inner faith, she's going to correct us, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Desires, all the ordinary movements of consciousness have to be offered to her. And that is the touch, her touch will change everything into gold. That desire will change into pure aspiration for the divine. And once it is growing in you, you don't want anything but that. And that's another kind of thing. So you know that by all this ordinary means, you can increase in yourself the deeper and higher and more luminous consciousness. What can be better for life? You are no more troubled. You don't look for the results to get for your desires to be realized. Your desires are already realized by the presence of that light. That was also the case when people were coming to the mother with the list of things to do, to explain, and they come there and then they go into this atmosphere and they forget everything. And then come out, everything, all those of that list of things to do, everything is already resolved by the very presence of consciousness. No more problems anymore. It's quite interesting how they describe this, how many times with lists they went to the mother and they couldn't even read because everything was already solved by the very presence. Yes. So number 58. Yada samharate chayam kurmonga niva sarvashach indriyani indriyarthebhyach tasya prajna pratishtita. So when he withdraws his limbs like the tortoise from the like tortoise withdraws limbs, he withdraws the senses from the object of sense, then his wisdom is being established, firmly founded in wisdom. This is pratyahara, known as pratyahara in Yoga Sutras, yes, that you withdraw the senses from the object of sense. And then you become free. You can choose what you want to think, what you want to do. You are no more determined by those investments or those strings attached, which are kind of pulling us like a puppet. We cannot even concentrate because we are so invested into life, so engaged in life, that here there is a problem, there something is waiting, there I must do this, there he asked me to do, I remember all this, and I'm not free, I am not myself. But when I withdraw all those strings to myself, I become free. I get my mental energy back. I can focus now, and I can do any work with dedication to higher consciousness in me. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinach rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. This is a difficult shloka. We can discuss it. It's quite interesting in a way. If one abstains from food, the objects of sense cease to affect. But the affection itself of the sense, the rasa, remains. The rasa also ceases when Supreme is seen. We may withdraw from the object of sense, but there will be something in us like a need to enjoy life, to have the delight of existence. That is rasa inbuilt in it, which will eventually push us again to the same, to the same attachment. But when you see the Supreme, when the Supreme is seen, that rasa disappears, that urge to receive the delight in existence, because it is all realized in that supreme vision, in that contact, because seeing is a direct contact with the truth. So this is some kind of liberation, the final liberation, which does not anymore generate that need of love and being loved. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipashitach indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. Even the mind of the wise man who labors for perfection is carried away by the vehement insistence of the senses, O son of Kunti. Yatatach, of the one who aspires, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Purushasya, of Purusha, Vipashchitach, even being wise, Indriyani, Indriyas, Pramathini, powerful, stirring, Haranti, take away, suddenly, Prasabham, forcefully, suddenly, Manas, his mind. So these feelings, emotions which comes to us suddenly can take away our mind. And we've been to that situation not once, so we know how it is. Some people are getting on our nerves and we are ready to burst into the anger or into the judgment or into whatever, despair. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. And of the one who sits thinking about me, or who dedicated himself to me, having controlled all these indriyas, whose indriyas are under control, his wisdom is being established firmly. So having brought all the senses under control, he must sit firm in yoga, wholly given up to me, for whose senses are mastered, of him the intelligence is firmly established. And now he gives a very interesting definition of how we are shifting away, drifting away from our self-control. Dhyayata Vishayan Pumsach Sangateshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamach Kamat Krodho Bhijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammohach Sammohat Smriti Vibhramach Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nasho Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. This we read with you before in one of our presentations. So of the one thinking about the objects of sense, of the man who thinks about the object of sense, sangach, the attachment in them, in the objects of sense, upajayate, is born. Sangat, from that attachment, sanjayate kamach, the desire is born. So first there has to be thinking, dwelling with the mind on the object of sense, and the dwelling generates the attachment. The attachment brings us or brings the kama, the desire. Kamat krodhach abhijayate. And from kama, from desire to have the object of sense, to possess it in some way, krodhach, the anger is born. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, and from the anger, the bewilderment, comes into being. Sammohat, from the bewilderment, smriti vibhramach, the bewilderment of memory, of forgetfulness of who we are, what we are here for. Smriti bhramshat, from the disturbance of the memory of what we are and what we are here to do, buddhi nashach, we disconnect from our higher mentality. Buddhi nashat, and from that disconnection, pranashyati, man disappears, perishes, is getting lost. So once he disconnected from his higher sense of being, from being conceptual, mental being, he is easily manipulated. And I think many techniques today in this world are about that, how to make man stupid, how to disconnect him from his buddhi, from his higher inner judgment. Especially this advertisement, if you see reclam, how to bring the most ordinary animal desires in man, and then he can be easily manipulated. He doesn't know who he is. He is driven by desire. So he can buy the products which he doesn't need. That's the whole idea. Okay, I will stop here at this point. If you have something to say, I think that this is the point where you can contribute with some thoughts. Please just share your thoughts. Otherwise, I'm speaking one way.
I think the masters of the marketing and propaganda, they study very well this couple of sloka.
Yeah, I know about it. Actually, you know that advertisement came from the Soviet Union. It's a really interesting thing. They discovered it in the Soviet Union, that they can brainwash people. They started with propaganda, and propaganda turned to be the reclam for the marketing for the selling products. Before it wasn't like this. It was just an announcement that we sell these products. So come and buy. But that to create a desire, to brainwash you, that came later from propaganda. So it's a kind of propaganda. And it goes into politics also, as you know. So you can say whatever you want, Soviet Union. Look at Russia today. I don't want to go into politics because there are many different opinions, but still, look how people are manipulating with the brains of others, telling them whatever. And people are listening to that as Goebbels said, and Goebbels was the propaganda man of Nazis, the lie repeated many times becomes the truth. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You can repeat and repeat the same lie, and it will become the truth for many people. So we are here within this psychological framework, how to remain aware of our inner being, how not to deviate. We have to detach ourselves from the object of sense. We have to be free from the result, because result is that palam, yes, that fruit of action, is actually the generator of attachment of our senses to the object of sense. So once we detach ourselves, we become free to choose whatever we want in life. We can have our own thoughts, our own opinions, our own truths, which are much better than to have somebody else's opinions about it. Yeah. Anyhow.
Looks very mechanical, isn't it?
In a way, yeah, it's a mechanism of some kind. Yeah. Well, it has to be built up, I think. You cannot immediately get into that truth of yourself. You have to first disengage and then keep that disengagement for quite some time in order to build those inner relations, yeah? Contact with the inner light. And then trust that light and follow it without being attached to the object of sense. Yes, Naomi, you wanted to say something? No? Okay. I saw your hand. I thought.
But Vladimir,
Yes.
the detachment can lead you to something that it's very important in your life to do. You won't do it because you are trying to create detachment. So you may harm yourself or your family, or it's like how much detachment towards what? I always feel that has to be weighed a little bit.
Right. It is not detachment from action. It's detachment from the result which it may bring. You have to do the same action, but psychologically you have to be free from that you are determined by what has to happen. You have to make it. Yeah. Because then it makes you very narrow and suffering, and we make many mistakes when we do that. But once we are free psychologically from that, we are bringing the inner light, the connection to the inner presence. Whatever is happening, we are offering it. Yes. And the result is still not in our hands and will not be in our hands. And we don't want it to be in our hands. We want it to be in the hands of the divine, anyhow. So here we are. How can you be unhappy, and how can anybody can be unhappy from this kind of action? It's impossible. It will bring only the right alignment of everyone, and people will find right answers, will find right relations. It will be helpful to anyone, within and without.
You know, during Mother's time, we never felt we were unhappy, It's like she was always there. She always took care of everything. I can't even remember for years if I even shed tears for anything, It's just that her presence did everything for us, for all the children, It was just wonderful, wonderful memories, those days, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the mother is. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we can read few more shlokas if you like, or shall we stop here or finish this chapter? I can finish it today. Yes, Robert. Please just unmute yourself and.
I just was going to comment too that it's so interesting about anger leads to bewilderment. From bewilderment comes loss of memory, and by that the intelligence is destroyed. From destruction of intelligence, he perishes. It's such a great truth there, isn't it? I mean, when we get upset in any way, we can't think straight. And so it's another argument in favor of equanimity. But it's such an interesting observation in this context.
Yeah, and looks like very simple truth, which we somehow knew always, but couldn't really totally make use of. It reminds me of Lion King. You remember Lion King? This cartoon, when the spirit of the father comes to Singha, or to this, to the lion child, who is there, and tells him, "Remember who you are. Remember." It's the most important thing. Remember who you are.
Yeah.
That you are the king. That you are the Lord. That you have the higher, deeper consciousness, luminous in you. Don't get lost in these nitty-gritties of these jackals around you, trying to scare you and to lead you astray somewhere and use you as food for themselves. No, remember your royal origin. I think this is a great, by the way, Disney in this way is a very powerful company, creates always very right alignment with the truth through those cartoons.
It's interesting when you find in popular culture a parallel or an expression of a deeper truth. One thing that interests me sometimes is, traditional love songs, and how if you, instead of imagining that being the object, the vision being a human being, it being the divine, and how these can be very transporting and very beautiful in that way.
Yeah.
So sometimes popular culture gives us some nice prizes.
Right, because we are thinking in terms of archetypal forms anyhow, so we cannot deviate from the truth. So we will be using these symbols because we are all here seeking the truth, the truth of our existence, being in the physical form or in the vital form, doesn't matter. It will still shine through, and we can interpret it differently. We don't need to interpret it in the ordinary way. We can find in it the meaning, deeper meaning in everything. That's what Mother did, I think. And she taught us to do this, to see the deeper meaning in ordinary activities. Because we are all here just symbols of this higher reality, as Sri Aurobindo says. We are not what we seem. We represent some higher, truer reality here. Every one of us. I'm not Vladimir sitting here in this body. I'm a symbol of someone who is there, eternal and infinite and blissful. And I have to find him and to embody him here. So I have to refer to myself in that sense. Otherwise, I would be referring to myself in the form of desire and some lower beings, and trying to fulfill their needs rather than my own. So, great. Thank you for sharing. This is always great if somebody shares thoughts of this kind. Okay, so raga dvesha vimukhtaistu vishayan indriyaishcharan atma vaishyar vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. But the one who is free from raga and dvesha, from liking and disliking, the one who follows the object of sense, Vishayan Indriyaishcharan, free from attachment to raga and dvesha, to liking and disliking, to preference. Atma Vaishyach, but by the senses under control of the self. Vidheyatma, he is whose Atman is, or the self is established. Prasadam adhigacchati. He goes to the state of prasadam, to the state of bliss. Yeah? Here it is. It is by ranging over the object with the senses, but with the senses subject to the self, freed from liking and disliking, that one gets into a large and sweet clearness, that is prasadam, of soul and temperament, in which passion and grief find no place. The intelligence of such a man is rapidly established. We know it. In those moments when we are in a right spirit, we are in that prasadam, in that sweet state of the soul, a sweet clearness of soul. Yes. And that sweet clearness of soul does not accept liking and disliking. It looks at them as if they are the same. If you want to generate in me some liking of the vital or some disliking of the vital, it is impossible in that moment, because I have already a state of consciousness which is not even admitting these as some kind of driving forces for me. So they look the same. So whether I like or dislike, it doesn't matter really much, truly speaking, because it doesn't really do anything true to me, because I have already myself. And I want that presence. I want it to be all the time within me. And I kind of deviate from the preferences. I don't want to praise someone or to blame someone, neither myself nor others anymore, because I can see how these things are not totally real. They're kind of taking me away from myself, as it were.
Vladimir, what is the real meaning of prasadam? How would you translate?
He translates as sweet clearness of soul.
Because the reason I asked that, with a lot of the Indian rituals, they hand out, prasadam, what they call,
Right.
So I was wondering how that act connects with the meaning that you're talking about. It's supposed to provide you with that connection with your soul.
Prasadam, if I analyze this grammatically, since we spoke about grammar, and root sad has a very interesting meaning. It is to sit, yes, which we know, sidati, but to sit. But what is to sit? It is to come to some kind of state of immobility or equilibrium, or state where you are no more disturbed. You are arriving at peace, as it were. Yeah? So to say, it's a kind of satisfaction of being in the state of equilibrium. And that is prasadam. And here it is used in this, look at this shloka, prasade sarvadukkhanam hanir asyopajayate, exactly what we discussed. So in him, the leaving of all the bad things, of all the dukkha's, of all the sufferings is taking place when one is in that sweet state of the soul. Prasanna chetasach, whose consciousness is in the state of sweetness. Buddhih paryavatishthati, hyashu buddhih paryavatishthati. Very fast, very quickly we can establish our higher mind. Our higher mind is quickly established in us when we are in the consciousness of that sweetness. So we can reconnect to our higher spiritual self. So prasada is that settlement, that sweet settlement with oneself, as it were. And then, of course, prasad is used as that sweet at the end of the sacrifice or offering. So it's a part of offering. It is that what we get as a part of offering. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayatah shantir ashantasya kutah sukham. There is no buddhi of the one who is not composed or united, who is not in yoga. There is no higher mind. Nacha yuktasya bhavana, and of the one who is not composed, who is not yoked, whose elements, whose different members of consciousness and being are not composed properly and united, he doesn't have bhavana, consecration or concentration. Bhavana is something which supports our becoming or meditation. Nacha bhavayatah shantih, and of the one who is not concentrated, there is no peace. Ashantasya kutah sukham, and of the one who doesn't have peace, where is happiness? So this is again another lineage of categories, psychological, which could be interesting for psychologists. Yeah? So for one who is not in yoga, there is no intelligence, no concentration of thought. For him, without concentration, there is no peace. And for the unpeaceful, how can there be happiness? Now we can understand what peace means. Peace is some positive state of equilibrium, positive and active state of equilibrium, not passive. In the Vedic literature, Sham is used in the state of bliss. Sham no mitra Sham varunaha. May there be Sham for us, or Mitra, or Varuna. Sham means blissful state of equilibrium, in which actually spirit and our consciousness are united, as it were. So of the one who has no buddhi, there is, so nasti buddhir ayuktasya, of the one who is not composed, united, there is no buddhi. Nacha yuktasya bhavana, of the one who is not composed, there is no concentration. So we can't concentrate, we can't do anything, we can't really fix our consciousness on anything. Nacha bhavayatah shantih, and of the one who is not concentrated, there is no equilibrium, active equilibrium, or reconciliation of the spirit and consciousness within us. Ashantasya kutah sukham, of the one who has no peace, there is no happiness. Indriyanam cha charatam yanmano nu vidhiyate tadasya harati prajnam vayurnavam ivam bhasi. We have few more shlokas here. Most probably I will stop here and we will continue from 68 next time. Next time also I will look into these shlokas from Sri Aurobindo's point of view and we will revive them. I also would recommend that you read essays on the Gita on these topics. That means chapter 9, 8, 9, and 10. And then we can discuss how Sri Aurobindo viewed those elements. Okay, I'm closing for today with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santo Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.